The Last of Us Part 1 being a fully priced PS5 remake of a game already fully playable on a PS5 was always a bit of a comical ask on Sony's part. But I feel like the controversy of the price tag kind of overshadowed some of the more interesting creative expressions Naughty Dog was able to draw out from the source material by simply putting a proverbial new coat of paint on the cutscenes. See, after Crash and Jak and Daxter, Naughty Dog's golden boy was Nathan Drake, their take on an Indiana Jones-esque adventure and characters, and one of the main draws of the series up until the release of The Last of Us was its very Hollywood signatures, well-written sarcasm, larger-than-life set pieces, and very archetypal characters and plots. I'm not saying that the series lacks heart, but the draw of the series was never to see a realistic depiction of a panic attack, if you get what I mean. So what does any of this have to do with The Last of Us? Well, now that we have an established baseline for what Naughty Dog has done before The Last of Us, I think it really highlights what drew people to The Last of Us, and it's kind of the opposite of how Uncharted succeeded. The draw of The Last of Us isn't really in any of its archetypal Hollywood elements that kind of felt like carryovers from Uncharted, but it's all the real human heart that comes through the writing and voice performances, as well as the underlying and overarching motifs and themes. So how does this all connect together? Well, when I played The Last of Us Part 1 when it was released in 2022, I was surprised by how much of an impact the updated cutscenes had on me, because I think, as mentioned earlier, that this proverbial coat of paint actually has really let the underlying themes be much more obvious when the performances and characters aren't hidden, either by the PS3's graphical capabilities or Naughty Dog's tendency at the time to lean into more of these archetypal images of these characters, rather than the more broken and honest versions of them that the writing is conveying. Every character is improved visually in The Last of Us Part 1, but I feel like the three best examples for what I'm talking about are Joel, Tess, and Bill. So first up is Joel, whose PS3 character looks like if Gerard Butler was cast in a Hugh Jackman biopic. PS3 Joel looks like that archetypal protect the kid-esque gruff action hero man, while the voice acting from Troy Baker and the writing is conveying a more broken regular guy. You have to see past what's staring you in the face to properly view the reality of Joel, but with The Last of Us Part 1, that's no longer needed. Joel now just looks like Joel, bags under his eyes and all, and the audience no longer has to gloss over the archetype to properly view the character as he was written and performed. Next up is Tess, and this is where the visuals really go to the next level. Her original character model looks quote-unquote normal, and so that tone setter of normal colors her performance in a similar light to Miriam from Raiders of the Lost Ark, someone that's kind of a love interest, and also someone that can probably outdrink you in a bar any day of the week. The Part 1 remake totally tears down any semblance of that normal with Tess's updated model. She looks worn, she looks her age, and more importantly, she looks like she's been surviving in this nightmare for 20 years. Her calm and collected nature stands juxtaposed to her appearance, giving you some real insight into what she's had to do to survive and what that in turn has done to her. The absolute pinnacle standout of this visual upgrade has to be Bill. Bill in the original Last of Us looked greasy and insane, like a fat Psycho Sam from Hunt for the Wilderpeople. The remake both deepens and adds nuance to all of this characterization just from a change in visuals. Take this moment from his section of the game where you need to collect a car battery from a school.
Please tell me you're done!
It's empty.
What? Empty!
Guys!
Bill, where to? Bill, where?
Anywhere but here.
When Bill finds out there is no car battery in the original game, he comes off as kind of confused, but mostly kind of angry, and that's once again thanks to the limitations of PS3 hardware. We know this because of how much more nuanced Bill's visual inflections are in the remake.
Please tell me you're done!
It's empty.
What? Empty!
Guys!
Bill, where to? Bill, where?
Anywhere but here.
Like with Joel and Tess, the visuals of Bill now properly highlight Bill as he was on the page and how he was portrayed by W. Earl Brown. The visuals matching the writing and performances makes the deeper level of Bill's character bubble up to the surface much more immediately. Remakes are always a sticky business in the games industry. What justifies being called a remake? How much has to be remade for that to be valid? Does a remake invalidate the original game? And should studios even devote resources into what so often is more about teraflops and familiar IP than it is about lasting playability? Would I rather have gotten a new Naughty Dog game in the 4 years they spent remastering / remaking their previous 11 years worth of work? Absolutely. But I don't think their efforts were wasted, as the visual upgrades to the original Last of Us have deepened my connection to the game's themes and its characters, and by them stripping away the more Hollywood archetypal visuals, they've given us something that will hopefully last us quite a while.